My name is Zohe Felici. I am with Felici Events. I'm an event planner. I've been in business for about 5 years. Previously, I managed another company for about 4 years. My background, I'm actually 100% Italian. Moved to the States when I was in high school. I always joke around. People ask me, how did you become an event planner? And I was like, I was born Italian. In Italy, you just start talking about the next meal, the next event. Everything's an event, and everything's a big hoopla. So that's how I became an event planner. I used to want to be a chef. I love cooking. I wanted to be a chef, and then quickly I realized how expensive it was to go to culinary school. But my mom had taught me since I was this big to cook, and I don't know necessarily that was a good fit for me. And the last thing I wanted to do was to cook for other people, be in a hot kitchen with a bunch of angry men paying minimum wage. So instead, I was a hotel restaurant major. I did front of the house. I loved it for a stint. And I worked for Four Seasons, so my background is high-end luxury resorts. And I traveled, I started in Austin after I graduated college in Dallas, worked at the Four Seasons Austin, and then I opened up the San Diego property. It's no longer there, Aviara, Four Seasons, and then also got promoted and worked in Newport. So this is my old stomping grounds here. Nice. No longer a Four Seasons in Newport, but I lived in Huntington Beach, loved it. Wanted to get out. I was like, oh, I just can't keep doing this. I was operations, fine dining, wine, all that stuff. Not as glamorous as you think it is. So I quit. I was going to get my master's, but the hotel industry just can't get away. Stuck with an umbilical cord. That's how I ended up in Santa Barbara, which is where I currently live, working for a resort, a Par resort up there. Through connections that I had with Four Seasons, they needed help, and I started consulting. And lo and behold, beautiful place to live. They needed someone to help them, and I said, sure, I'll do it. I don't want to manage people for a long time. It's not necessarily a forte of mine. Find me something else. I'll give you guys about 1.5 years to get everything going. They found a catering position. I fainted. I'm like, are you serious? This is a job. I get to interact and mingle with people and eat food and show them all the pretty things. But it was a great stepping stone for me, and eventually I met an event planner. I ran her company for about 5 years and then decided that it was time to fly solo, which is what I've been doing. That's my scoop. Short and sweet. So tonight we're going to be, do you guys know what we're talking about? A little bit? We're going to be opening up the Felici files. My last name is Felici. I kind of branded that. My friends really branded that. Anything Felici means that it's something that I believe in. So we're opening up the Felici files, and you're going to get into my brain a little bit about marketing. With Francie, we had talked about different topics that I could come talk about, and this really seemed to be a good, popular one. So we're going to get to it. And tonight, we're here, Isis, Orange County. The obvious, I love the title. I didn't come up with a title, and I stole it from you. I thought that was great. The obvious and not so obvious about marketing. You know, recently, I had an epiphany where I'm like, marketing, it's such a big world. There's so much to it, right? Does everyone agree? Or it can get confusing and things like that. So maybe we'll start with the obvious about marketing, right? We'll define marketing. Anybody? Anybody want to define it?
Go to the grocery store.
Go to the grocery store?
I
like it. Here we go. Management process through which goods and services move from concept to customer. And there's 4 elements included to it. And those are the 4 P's of marketing. Do you guys remember learning this? 4 P's of marketing. I was talking to my mom recently. I was telling her that I was doing this presentation. And she said, well, what do you know about marketing? You learned it in college, didn't you? I was like, no, I was learning beer in college. That was what I graduated in. The 4 P's of marketing. Here we go. And this is why I don't care for learning marketing in school, because I'm already bored and asleep just trying to read all of this, right? So let's get rid of that. No old school. We're getting rid of that. We're not talking about marketing in the textbook. We're going to talk about marketing and how it applies to us and what we do. How many in here are business owners? Business owners, majority, and then a couple who work for someone else. You do marketing with your lattes and location. Okay, that's good to know. And this will pertain to, as I was talking to Carol when I came in this afternoon, being in an organization such as ISIS, that really, for me, I think we all struggle organizations and nonprofits and trying to educate people what our organization does. So there tends to be also an overlap of marketing with something like ISIS, where we're trying to let people know this is what we do. This is what our organization does. So I'll apply some of it to today's conversation. So we're really going to talk about today's goal, okay? Marketing. Layman's term. What if I told you that we're going to turn qualified leads into clients with better sales and focus on accomplishing booking goals? Do you guys think that looks right? Is that the goal of marketing? Okay.
Sounds great.
Sounds great?
Yep.
What's that?
Dollar signs.
Dollar signs. Cha-ching, right? That's the whole point. Well, it's not. I'm going to give you the Felici-fied goal of today. Okay? The difference is does anyone in here know Stephen Covey?
Yes.
Stephen Covey? He wrote 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I think he's passed away now, right? But he's, I don't know.
No, actually, I don't think so.
Anyway. Stephen, if you're out there anywhere, we're talking about you. So Stephen, one of the main points, one of the habits that he talks about that to me I've always identified with, especially being an event planner, is begin with the end in mind. So the difference here is originally we talked about turning qualified leads. That's something that you do in the now. And then the last goal, and what we had just talked about, is the booking goals, right? So turning qualified leads into booking goals. However, Stephen Covey, the theory, event planning, you begin with the end in mind. What is the vision? What is the picture? What do we have to do? So those are the 3 steps we're going to talk about. Number 1, booking goals. What are your booking goals? Number 2, how do you increase sales? And number 3, how are we going to turn, and what are our qualified leads, to turn them into clients? Those are your 3 takeaways today, hopefully. Okay?
Cool.
Easy peasy. Better than that definition that was blah, 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 blah. Okay, good. Glad you're on board with me. Okay. So let's define and accomplish booking goals. It is the most boring thing we're ever going to do. I don't know a lot of event people that are numbers people. And this is Sisyphe. Remember Sisyphe? He was pushing the rock up to the top of the mountain, and then it kept coming back. So that's what it feels like, right? Sometimes dealing with numbers, it's like so overwhelming and so boring. But you have to. It is the number 1 thing you have to do before you start looking at marketing. Numbers don't lie. I did bookkeeping for a while. I actually enjoy numbers. I'm kind of nerdy that way. The reason I like it is because you always end up balancing out, which not a lot of jobs, especially in the event industry, allow you to do that. So looking at numbers is important. I suggest looking at your P&L, your profit and loss statement for the last 5 years. Where were you at? What were your sales? What was your revenue? Where were your expenses? What percentage of all your expenses combined went to what? I recently did an exercise like this, and I was shocked to see that just certain things, if I just switched something, just a little something, and maybe put a little bit more money towards education and a little bit less towards something else, you know, you can always look at that. So then that way you know what your goals are. Where are you at? How much are you willing to dedicate to it? Most importantly, where do you want to be? So again, begin with the end in mind. Go the furthest away. Where do you want to be in 10 years? I want to be retired. Anyone else here? Yeah? Yeah, let's retire in 10 years. How are we going to do that? What does that number look like? And then take a step back. How am I going to get there? 5 years. How am I going to get there? 1 year. What am I going to be doing? We're almost here, we're in the first quarter. We just ended the first quarter. Anyone know how they did financially in the first quarter? Yeah? Awesome. Great. Great. Look at them. Look at those numbers. Set yourself a goal and constantly look it up. If you haven't met your quarterly goal, how are you going to change the next 3 months? What looks like projection for the last 6 months of the year? Okay? And then we'll talk about identifying your conversion rate. We'll talk a little bit more about conversion rate, but does everyone here know what conversion rate is? Converting your inquiries into clients. What is that percentage? Your leads into clients. Okay? So what is your typical conversion rate? Mine, it's about 6%, 7%. Okay. And review your numbers monthly. Look at your budget and then compare what you actually did. What do you need to do differently? Where did your money go to? What should you switch? What marketing dollars are going to go into what? So that's your number 1. Look at the finances. It's an exercise that you just absolutely have to do. And if you bypass this, you're literally throwing money out the window for marketing, okay? What we all want, okay? So step 2, increase your sales. Who in here wants to increase sales? Right? Great, once you get a lead. So how do you increase sales? You get in front of, you get that lead. That lead comes to you. You want to convert them into a sale. Why? Why should they buy from you? What problem are you able to solve for them? Great. Do you have an answer for that? What problem are you able to solve a lead that comes
All
your
my
way?
clients are problematic. First of all, what they need to do, we need to bring it together for them, the loose ends. For us, it's more of a situation to where we are referred by other event planners and caterers to take a person who is of quality but needs a little bit more help than what they normally would get from a higher end. And our job is to pull the string. We're the tighten strings.
Yeah.
So we just bring it together.
You bring it together. You tie it up in a nice big box with a big bow.
Big old bow.
Right.
With a Kleenex box, because you know they're crying the whole way.
Yeah. So the problems could be you may not have an organized team to execute your event,
Right.
right? You may not have the right person understanding what it is that you're trying to accomplish with the event. What about for ISIS, bringing it back to ISIS, because sometimes I think that's easier. What problem does ISIS solve?
Access.
Access? Is that what you said? Or access?
Access. No,
I didn't get that at
access.
Access, yes.
Access.
Access, networking, it opens up your pool, marketing, credibility.
Identification.
Yeah, okay. So find out for you, what problem does your product solve? Recently, I went to a conference, and I think I should bring this up. I went to a conference, and this gal spoke, and she was very compelling for me. I really enjoyed listening to her. And one thing that she brought to the forefront that I learned is she asked, who in here is a product? So who in here is a product? Who delivers a product? Okay. And who delivers a service? Right? Who thinks they deliver both? Both, right? And it was eye-opening for me. I'm an event planner. I'm in the service industry. I'm of service to people. Wrong. I'm a product, right? When you go and you decide you're going to have a burger, you get to choose, am I going to McDonald's or am I going to a steakhouse? Right? That's the product. You're still getting a burger. So for me, what is my product? Where do I offer? Even though I offer services, what do I have to offer? So I think it's very important, talking about value and what problem do you have to solve someone, is that you do realize that even though you might be of service to people, you technically are a product. And where do you value yourself at?
Can I interject something
Sure.
real quick about McDonald's? I was thinking about that one day because I thought, I never think about going to McDonald's if I'm craving a burger. I go to McDonald's because I want McDonald's.
Right.
And it's that uniqueness, I think, that as a business owner, we're trying to accomplish where, you know, I might have a similar product. I might have a similar service.
Right.
But what's going to make people say, oh, no, I have to have this one. I don't want, if I'm going to have a burger, I have other places I'd rather go. But if I just want McDonald's, because I'm sorry, I was a child of the 70s and McDonald's was huge. So if I want McDonald's, I want McDonald's. If I want a burger, I go somewhere else. But for my own company, how do I get that? How do I turn that corner in people's minds and say, oh no, I can get this service anywhere, but I'm not going to get Craig's Crew anywhere.
Right. We'll talk about that.
Thank you.
That's up ahead.
Throwing that out there,
Right.
sorry.
So yeah, it may not be McDonald's, but it is the, you know, what problem are you solving? I want a cheeseburger, right? But then you make the decision of where am I going to go get a cheeseburger from? It could be anywhere, right? And you have plenty to choose from. I want a car, right? I want a car. Am I going to pick one of these? Or am I, you know what I mean? So there's different.
I've got my order pin.
Yes. I have a key. That's the one I want. You just open up the back. Okay. So what makes your product unique? Okay, this gave me a chuckle. Muffin top, muffin tins,
Often.
right?
Awesome.
You see them, they're little pants? That's unique,
Awesome.
right? It might not be for everyone. I don't know, I think if I gave you that, you'd look at me like I was crazy, but Carol might enjoy it. She might make a couple muffins out of it. So what makes your product unique?
And I would give them to you for Christmas.
Yeah, and I would like it.
And this is a little bit of what you were touching on, Carol, is the more unique you are, the more uniqueness you present, the higher amount of money you will make. Okay? Let's take Apple, for example. There's nothing like it. They try to compete with Samsung. There's cell phones, but I remember the day I took a bite of the apple. Does anyone know that expression where you actually buy Apple products? I have my Mac here, I have my iPad there, I have cell phones, and then once you buy one, you have to keep going, and I had to go get this guy today, and So, what makes your product unique? Why are you attracting that customer? Because I could have kept my Razr phone, or gone to Motorola, or kept my, BlackBerry back then, but there was something compelling that I wanted the freaking Apple product. So what do you have to offer that's unique, unlike anybody else? Because if I tell people, oh, I'm an event planner, I can design your event, I'm going to make sure that it's beautiful, someone's going to say, well, I hope so. You're an event planner. What is unique about you than the other person? Why would someone go buy a Rolls Royce versus my beautiful Mazda that's out there? Right? So now you have your product, you know how much you're going to sell, you have your product, and you figured out what makes you unique, and how are you going to communicate this to your niche, okay? So uniqueness creates the niche. Do you guys remember Swatch Watch? I think, except for you. Do you remember Swatch Watch?
No.
Right? Remember when those came out, that was all the rage, and I never had one. My parents wouldn't buy me one or what have you, but I just remember that being all the rage, and everyone went out there and came back to school, and they all had the Swatch Watch. This phenomenon, right? How did they communicate that, right? Other people wearing the Swatch Watch, the commercials, it was like the hot new trend. There wasn't internet back then, so it was probably magazine and television-based marketing and other people. So how do you communicate? And there's a few forums on here, and we'll talk about a few of them, but this is really the most important, and this is technically what marketing is, right? But you have to do steps 1 and 2. But how are you going to tell people? Who is your niche? So if I'm selling a Swatch watch, let's say, who was my target market? Or at the time, it would have been, I was a teenager, teen, right?
Teens.
People who like watches. The Apple, speaking of Apple, the Apple Watch is coming out.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there waiting, I can't wait. But why do I want it? They communicated that to me. They showed me the cool little things it can do. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get my hands on that. They did a pretty good job communicating that to me, as much as I wish I didn't love Apple. So there's a few ways, and we'll talk about 2 of them. So there's offline lead generators, okay? These are how you get your inquiries. They are not online. Marketing tactics. Marketing things you can do. And this is open forum, so you guys speak up anytime. So here's a lot of them, and I can send you guys PDFs, just let me know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'll get your information. And I've underlined some of them. I'll go through them. Do you want me to go through them a little bit? And we can talk about them? I underlined some of them that I think are specific to our market that I maybe have an affinity for. Who here does referral systems? Event industry professionals, we typically, yeah? I was talking to Senora Moore earlier. For me, as a planner, I don't like so much to do month of. I don't like to just jump in at the last minute and be like, oh, what about this? What about that? What did you think of this? I'm stressing the client out, right? So it's not necessarily something that I want. If it's the right client, if it's the right location, but most important for me, if it's the right team. Because sometimes when you're thrown into those events, you don't know who you're going to be working with. So I offer a discount. My referral system is offering the discount to the client. I'll give you 10% off for picking people from my team. That's their incentive. That's
10% off your fee.
My fee, my fee. Or there's referral systems, right? hey, you work with me, I'll give you 10%. Rental companies, court does that? No? No referral fees? No? Wow.
Ouch.
Not even the classic? Or you guys are just, no? Okay, interesting. Strategic alliance though, that's, no?
We have, well, not really.
Aren't you in certain catalogs with other, like digging a hole here? Yeah.
No, Corvettes is the wrong standalone.
That's it?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
corporate nationwide,
Okay.
owned by Warren Company.
Okay, but, okay, so, bad example, apologize, but for instance, I work with Classic and I know that they outsource through like Designer Aid, and so that's just strategic alliance, right? So aligning yourself with someone else, opening up your market, court, I think is similar, where your niche is very, very specific to what people want, right? Networking functions, we're here at them. Do you know that tonight I only got one business card? You guys missed out, right? So use these networking functions to really execute who your perfect client is, who your niche is, sell. What do you want doing? What do you want? What does someone else want? Hey, what can I do for you? We talked about lattes on location. And, you know, what are you guys doing in Orange County, this and that. So really using these, not just attending the networking functions, but really talking about what you want in your business and what does someone else want in their business and how can you help each other out. There's employing, outsource, sales, telemarketing. I did telemarketing in school, hated it. I think my shift lasted 15 minutes before I left. But it's effective for some people. Presented seminars and events. That's what I started doing, right? Being an expert, becoming an expert in your field. Direct market mailing. I try those here and there. For me, I don't know as a planner necessarily, I'm in the mindset that people need to see my event versus see pictures of it. But I know that perhaps for florists or photographers especially, that might be something that works out really well. Sponsor relevant events and companies. For me, I'm very involved in fundraising and nonprofit events and donating some of my services to them and getting acknowledgement. But you have to make sure you get something back, right? You can't just go out there and be like, oh yeah, I'll charge you this much. And no, I want the mailing list, I want to follow up with them, I'm going to give them a gift before they leave. I want them to call me back. It's not just about doing that event. Make sure you keep your databases up to date. I mean, that's huge, huge. Advertise in relevant directories. That's one of the benefits of ICES. You get to go through a couple different directories, but who is the right one? I advertise my advertising dollars. I don't really spend a lot on advertising. My personal belief is that I'm more about networking and people, and that's what gets me business is more word of mouth. I advertised in Style Me Pretty for a little bit. I don't know if it really, I did my marketing research after it. I don't know if I really reap the rewards. It might be for someone else, but it might not be the client I want to attract. Cross-promote, I think that's huge, cross-promoting. Remind me your name again? David. So I met David about a month ago. We did a Lux Linen show. And David was doing the lighting and the DJing and cross-promoted for a couple events, you know? And so now we have this rapport and relationship. And those events were great. I mean, for me, I did a tabletop design. Lux Linen showcased their new linen. And I met people I never would have met otherwise. I got to go to LA and see their showcasing. So really, I'm a big promoter of cross-promoting, complementary services. Contests and competitions, I think are great. If you go online and you say, hey, win, it doesn't have to be your service like this package. It could be, hey, win tickets for 2 to the movies if you submit your best Instagram picture from this party. Okay, everyone wants to win something. Or also if you're donating your services, have a raffle alongside it. Say, hey, can we raffle one of our product services something away? Joint ventures, again, I underline that one. I'm a huge believer in that. Anyone in here who wants to do a joint venture, an event, I mean, I will do events with ICES. I'll just organize other events with other event professionals. We have a group of about 25 planners, and we get together. Believe it or not, we love each other. All these planners up in Santa Barbara hanging out. And we get to see each other work and how we each do events and refer each other business, and we get together for lunch or dinner or wine every couple months. It's actually really nice doing joint ventures. Classified ads might be for you. You'd be surprised. Classifieds and Craigslist actually work really well for certain professionals, posters if you're putting them up. If you're in the event industry and you want to market an event, I help market for fundraisers, putting up posters. I'm doing the Jewish festival coming up. There are posters of the Jewish festival coming up all over Santa Barbara right now. Promotional items, brochures, and business cards. On that one real quick, you will not believe how many times I get a piece of a promotional item and not all the contact information is on there. Specifically, either a proposal from another vendor or a contract. I mean, literally, number one, I receive contracts and I don't know what vendor it's from. Your information should be on there. Phone number, who you are, and website, and how they can reach out to you. So anything that you put out there, make sure that you have those things. This is constant stream of press release. That is huge. There's PR.com. Have you guys heard of? There's like press release companies online that you just send your press release and it really helps you with your SEO, with your search engine. So you can submit. And there's places that you can there's like, have you guys heard of Fiverr, Fiverr? They'll do services for you. There's writers on there. They'll write a press release for you. You don't have to do. The more you can outsource, the better, right? Because I'm not this person. I'm an event planner. I'm out on the field putting out fires. Window displays, car wraps, signage, anywhere you can put it. Giving away useful information. I think that one is huge. People want advice. People want free advice. What can you tell them? What is that book that's going to say they're the expert? I'm trying really hard to get on YouTube and become an expert on YouTube. I had to really climb a mountain and a hill to get in front of the camera and do it. But, I'm out there. I'm giving away some information. Creating gimmicks or attention grabbers. Again, people want something for free. Attend and exhibit and trade shows. We've all certain, I don't know for event planners, I don't really do wedding shows, but I know it's huge for caterers. I know it's huge for anyone that has a product, a photo booth, court furnishings. I love their trade shows. I have selfies in their booths, lounging on the furniture. I look very elegant. Host an event and tell your clients, hey, bring a friend. Hey, I'm an ice sculpturist. You guys have worked with me before. Let me do an ice sculpture and bring a friend, and get your previous clients to come in. Or even again with ISIS, bring buddy for $1. A thought-provoking survey. Who surveys their clients after the event? Anybody? Yeah, I think that's important. Be the expert again. You can get on podcasts, any kind of media, morning talk shows, AM radio. They're looking. These people are looking for information. You can write for another blog, for the special event magazine, for event solutions. Whatever you want. They need the content. You become the expert. And network marketing, if that's for you. Any questions on these offline? And again, I think for you, what I would suggest, identify 3, the top 3 that you can work on that you think will make a difference for you today. Okay. So now we're going to go online. This is a whole other world, right? This is like time exhaustion and really, I'm very lucky. Michelle right here, she didn't want to introduce herself. She's been with me since January. She's interning. She's looking for a job in the event industry. If anyone's hiring. See, she didn't even promote herself. I told her that. I'm like, we're here for marketing. But great with social media. I love having her around. She's taught me so much. It's so overwhelming for me. So, if it's something that you're lacking, it's something that you want, connect with someone who can help you in that area. Email marketing, sending out emails, affiliate marketing, having, combined again with ISIS, when you send the invitation out, my name was on there, my contact information, the venue was on there, so that's great content. Most important, number 3, again, I see this a lot. I had a meeting with a client one time, and I went to a florist that I hadn't been to before, and I looked up her address, I Googled her, and the first thing that popped up was something for wedding wire. So it's the first entry that popped up, not even her website, which is fine. I click on it to find her exact address. It took me to her house. I was 30 minutes late for my meeting. Poor me for not being prepared, but you really need to look at that stuff. So really look at where your company is listed, where your business is listed, and make sure that contact information is current, okay? Manage and outsource social media. I mean, I think that's huge. I think a lot of us feel overwhelmed by it, but there's a lot of help, and there's a lot of people who love doing it. And learn what you can about internet marketing. Blog on your site and blog on other people's websites. I do location blogging on Santa Barbara Wedding Style. That's like the #1 website that people go to. The #1 thing they look for is locations. I'm the expert. Article marketing, promoting your product, your services. Hey, court furnishing, do you know that this can da-da-da-da for you at your event? Get involved in online forums. This one's actually one of the easiest ones and one of the most effective. So if you go on someone's blog and they have their post up, you're commenting on it. Hey, you styled it pretty. I really love the flowers, and oh my gosh, you did such a great job. Hey, Event Solutions, that was such a cool party. I love the lighting. I do lighting, and I've never seen anything like it. So just going on online forums and giving your comments. Offer or sell online reports about your expertise. Create e-zines, e-magazines. The most annoying ones for me, website pop-ups and banners, but you can't get around them. Does that happen to you? You're on a website and all of a sudden it pops up and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't get away from it. But it's effective. I mean, if it wasn't effective, people wouldn't do it. Create a newsletter, again, just to make sure that you have a good mailing list, a good email list that it's current and you're sending out newsletters. Some people do text messages and SMS. Did I say S&M? SMS. Again, that's effective for events. You know, again, Jewish festival, I'm putting an event together. Hey, we can send out mass texts. I don't know how I applied to some bar or nightclub in Santa Barbara, and I get texts every randomly about certain groups that are playing there, bands and stuff. So, inline radio, I think inline. Maybe that's what I say online. Online radio advertising. Online radio. Create landing pages for all of your products so that people can go to, okay, I do weddings, okay, I do events, okay, I do staffing, okay, I do lighting, okay, I do DJ services. So just make sure you have landing pages for all of those. Using opt-in systems, such as constant contact. Going and I have a place where people can connect on my website and get my newsletter. Online videos, I talked about that, my vlog feature. Podcasts and interviews, use RSS, which is kind of actually more going on the wayside. And I think the most important one, manage and outsource SEO, search engine. I think with the millennials coming up, that's where they're at. By the time the millennial calls you, millennials are like 24 to 36 years old, something like that. By the time they've reached out to you, they've done all their research online. They have all their questions answered. They're going to write you a paragraph this long about how their wedding's going to be. They're the experts. So I think that's really huge coming up. Any questions on those two types of marketing? Online and offline? Most importantly, it's not that you sell. It's that you get them to buy. Why do they want your product? Remember a picture earlier with the lady? Why do they want your product? Make it compelling. Shark Tank. Anyone a Shark Tank fan? Mm-hmm. Love me a Shark Tank. Some of those products are just like you can't walk away from it. It's just such a cool idea, right? But also how they execute it, the presentation for Shark Tank. That needs to be compelling when you're in front of that audience. So I suggest using the 2 ears, 1 mouth. My mom used to say that growing up. Oh, Zoe, there's a reason why you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. In the same proportion. Don't be a salesperson. Have you met those people who sell? You're like, dude, I just need to get away. This is an interesting point. Did you know that people on average will not buy until the 7th no? We'll talk a little bit more about that when we go to conversion rate. But basically what that means is that it'll take 7 times of you touching the potential client, so to speak, before they make a decision.
I heard it was 9.
I've heard something.
Like 7 days.
Yeah, good.
Seven better.
Create create and
She's that
promote.
good. She knocked out the,
Yeah,
yeah.
she
The last two, never gets to that.
create and promote your written guarantee. Again, make it compelling. Why are people going to want to go Nordstrom's, right? What is Nordstrom's guarantee? Their return policy is amazing. It's better than anyone I've seen. There's nobody like it. It has to be factual. Okay?
Maybe Home Depot. I've seen Home Depot take back dead Christmas trees.
Ah, good to know. I'll bring mine.
Yeah, I know we should.
They're told, right?
Again, define and promote your uniqueness. That really needs to be a huge focus. The more unique you are, the tighter your niche, the more money you're going to make because you're going to weed out the looky-loos. Oh, I'm getting married, I'm a bride. Versus, oh, I'm getting married, I'm a bride, and this is what I want it to look like. This is who I want to have as my planner. Increase your range of products, maybe have a few more services. I think we talked about, you used to be more international and then the market, so what do? How do you start doing presentations in front of people, or how can you still work within your product? And
Just start thinking outside the box and seeing what else you can come up with and.
Yeah. Getting creative. Provide high quality product, obviously, everyone wants that. And testimonials. Who here sends a testimonial to an inquiry, to a lead? Every time? Okay. So when we talk about the 7 touches, the 7 times, that's one of them. Hey, by the way, here's my testimonials about da-da-da-da. People who have worked at that venue, people whose wedding I've done this time of year, whatever the case may be. Okay? So you want them to buy, you're not selling here. Okay, last point. We doing good on time? Everyone good?
Yeah.
Qualified leads. Okay? She says, what an amazing movie. I thought it was so touching when they converted every one of those leads to sales. Didn't you? What if you could convert every lead you had into a sale? Right? What's that?
So my checks would be a lot bigger.
Right? Yeah, I know. So we talk about conversion, and that's turning qualified leads into sales. That's what conversion is. That's that conversion rate. Okay? So if I have 100, I don't have to do math. That's right here. Okay. So if I have 100 events, or sorry, 100 leads, 100 people call me, and my conversion rate is 15%. Out of 100 people who call me, I get 15 clients a year. Okay? That's my conversion rate. Number of customers over clients. 100 divided by 15. Okay? Now, in this formula right here, what do you have to change to bring in more money? What is going to bring you in more money so that your profit, or your revenue, because you have some control of percent margin, but that your profit or revenue increases, skyrockets.
Sale value.
The what?
Average sale value.
Average sale value?
Yeah.
So you think if you change this from 1,200 to 1,500? Conversion rate. So a lot of people say leads. I want to get more leads. I want to cast that net wider. But it's really the key. You're expending your energy trying to get more people. You want to get the right people. Your pool doesn't need to be that big. They just need to be the right people. Because if you got 10% more leads, you're going to bring in not that much more money, about $8,000, right? But conversion, getting those people to commit and buy. If you increase conversion by 10%, look at how much more money you're making. You can still increase, but if you increase here at 1,500 versus here, this is going to be going up significantly. It's about 60% higher. Every 10% conversion rate you increase. Could everyone use 60% more money at the end of the day, end of the year? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so what are conversion rate triggers? Anyone? Okay, fine, I'll tell you. Who here does sales, or who has a sales team? You do sales, owner in sales, or do you have a sales team? Okay. So train your team in sales. If you have a team, I used to do sales. I used to do pay rate sales for a hotel. I was passionate about the product. I am a salesperson when I love something. I'm also a salesperson when I don't like something, right? Everyone naturally is. So get your people, if you have people selling for you, to understand what is the uniqueness? What is the niche? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? And have that passion and compelling story. So really train your team and yourself. Create a successful sales process. So what is that sales process? What does it sound like? What do you do? What again, those touches. Like if I haven't heard from a client, a potential client in a week or two, 10 days, I'm like, oh, hey, by the way, I wrote this article on the location that you're getting married, or I saw pictures from a wedding that I did at the location you're getting married, and I just thought of you. So what tactic, what's in there that allows you to keep touching that potential client? Educate on what the value is versus the price. Okay. Build your business on integrity, rapport, trust. I mean, you don't want to do that. I think we were talking about other competitors that maybe have let people down, but then you get the business because of that. Again, excellent product knowledge within your team so that everyone's as passionate about selling it. Upsell, cross-sell, and downsell. Be honest, it's not all about selling. It's not like the used car salesman. Oh, you have to do this. When I bought my car, I was so overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know. Do I need all this? Does anyone know that says learn the DISC profile and use it? You guys, are you familiar with DISC?
No.
So DISC is a test, if you will, or you can go online. If you go to TonyRobbins.com, and on the upper right-hand corner, there's a DISC profile. And do it for yourself. It's actually really cool. And there's quadrants. There's the D, which is dominant, the I, which is influential, the S, I can't remember, and the C, which is controlling. So basically, it goes from someone who's super creative and super, oh yeah, whatever, I'm great, to someone who has to have everything on paper and bullet point everything and detailed out. So if you can identify your client and where they are in that profile and where you are and who you work with, it's really intriguing. It really is. So I suggest that you download that. Take that test. Help clients by using their emotions and dreams. I don't go in there and say, oh yeah, I'm going to build you the best timeline ever. Yeah, it's going to be great. I go in there and I'm saying, oh my gosh, and we're going to have this flower, and the party's going to be over here, and then everyone's going to be dancing over there. I'm creating that vision for them. I mean, that's what, in events, what we want, ultimately. Right? There's going to be the client, the D, who is more about, hey, this needs to be perfect, to someone who's more like influential and says, I just want my guests to have a good time. So then you identify them by asking them questions of, what's more important to you? Is it the flowers, the caterer, or the timeline? And that's how you get to know where they fall in that profile. Promote your benefits, not your features, right? Again, you want them to want to buy your product. Make tactical offers to attract more clients. Personalized quotes. Do the SWOT analysis. Does anyone do SWOT? Are you guys familiar with SWOT? Strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So like for every event I do a SWOT analysis for the client. This is what I think will happen, and this is what I think we're going to need help in. Okay? Easy peasy, just real quick assessment. Promote your company's vision. What is your vision? Right? Use pre-qualified prospect questionnaires. So, for instance, saying, oh, sure, yeah, I want to find out a little bit more about you. Here's our pricing and packages, but I want to find out more about you. And then, if they give it back to you, they're interested. They're really wanting to seek out your services. Ask for the sale. So, what is it that you're looking for? What is going to have you commit to buying something like this? Direct marketing over the phone, maintain an up-to-date database. I keep bringing that one up, so you guys go home and check out your database. Set targets for the increasing database. Offer free reports. Use question softeners. Okay? Sometimes it can get uncomfortable when I'm talking to people about budget. So what's your budget? Oh, I don't have a budget. Money is very tricky in our industry, right? But I have to have a budget. If I don't know what your budget is, then I can't really produce the event that you want. Okay? So using question softeners that will allow me to ask, okay, so what are you thinking? Are you a Rolls Royce kind of person or a Mazda 3, right? And temperature checking. So how do you feel about that? How do you feel after our conversation today? So now we're going to identify the perfect client, okay? Because capturing the perfect client, if you capture them before the conversion rate as a client, as an inquiry, they'll be your client, and that conversion rate will naturally increase. So if you're attracting the right people, Are they the people that shop at Target? Are they the people that shop at Nordstrom's? Are they the people that go on vacation twice a year across the world? Or are they the people that stay locally and have a beach home or a home in Mammoth or something like that? So identify who is your perfect client. So I suggest taking these, how many are there? 9, right? 9 different areas. And on each of them, on a scale, identifying them 1 to 10, how important is it to you? So take your clients for last year, and for each of them, do this exercise: geography, sector, where they live, the budget that they had, did they pay you on time? My perfect client pays me early, right? I don't have to go chasing after them for money, right? Relevance, how relevant was the event or was the sale to you? What is their profile? What's their ambition? What are they wanting to get? What's the compatibility? How compatible was the event? Was there maybe personality? For me, that's huge. I need to really click with someone if I'm going to work for them 9 and 10 months out of the year to create their day, and the frequency that you connect with them. So for each of them, each client, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do they fall on that? And see if you create a pattern, and that's how you'll find your perfect client. Okay? So list your 20 clients or however many you had last year, all the 9 attributes, and on a scale of 1 to 10, grade them and see what happens. Again, the more specific you are about your perfect client, the better the result. Okay? You're going to convert that lead much quicker. They're not just looking to get married. They're looking between you and maybe someone else, because you're unique, because you're specific, because you have that value. Okay, so successful sales. So now we've done the top 3 steps, right? We've done our marketing plan, we've identified our product, our perfect client. The phone's gonna ring. Identify who your qualified leads are. You can do that right on that first phone call. You know, you can identify if someone's really a good fit or not for you. Very important. Who here creates a system for tracking prospects? For every inquiry that comes in, what's your system? Who here has a system? Yeah, what do you use? How do you do it?
I have an Excel spreadsheet that tells me when I've contacted somebody, how long it's been, and when I need to contact them next.
Perfect. Exactly. I would include in there what their budget is, maybe, right? But yeah, I'm an Excel user. I love Excel. I'm such a nerd. But I think that's great. You know, some people use QuickBooks, or there's other Salesforce, things like that. I like to keep it nice and easy. And for me, tracking prospects is also about kind of identifying on a scale of 1 to 10, where are they on the perfect client form? Because when I meet with potential clients, they're not interviewing me for the job. I want to make sure I want to work with them. Because if it's a horrible experience, I'm going to double my pricing. I'm going to need those massages and tequila shots at the end of the day, right? But be sure you have a system for tracking prospects. I was talking to a photographer friend of mine recently, and I said, so how do you handle that? And he's like, well, yeah, you know, they email me and I email them back. Yeah, and then what? I was like, well, I'll wait for them to call. I was like, no, are you kidding me? And you don't even track it somewhere? So you really do want to track it, all their contact information when you touch base with them. Then you want to find out, where is your niche found in greatest numbers? Are they the Nordstrom shoppers? Are they the ones that go to Macy's? Are they, you know, where are they? Where are they in the world? Are they from New York? Are they from Chicago? What is your offer? So my offer is a complimentary consultation where I assess the SWOT analysis and I can tell them what I think they need for their event. Free. That comes free. Ultimately, I'm interviewing them. I want to make sure I want the project, right? But that's what I offer. And then, again, creating a system for tracking the inquiries and most importantly, following up, because it's not up to them to call you. For me, if someone gets in touch with me for an event, until they tell me no or the event date has passed, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to reach out to them a few times. They'll say no eventually, or they'll hire me. Okay, so it's not just about them contacting me once. People get overwhelmed. I called someone 3 months after they originally reached out to me, and they were like, oh my gosh, we're just so overwhelmed. I'm trying to plan this wedding and the money, and I have to do this and this and this and this. I want to hire you just because you called me, and I want to get rid of the stress right now. So it works. I don't bug on, I'm not a salesperson like that, but my Felici finds, things that I found useful. Again, I touched base on this before. Have your company name on everything. Phone number, email, web address, everything. Proposals, contracts, giveaways, business cards. We have business cards. I had Michelle put some business cards, no emails on them. Always follow up within 48 hours. I know we live in a world where I'm working a lot of times till midnight, 1 in the morning. I'm working Saturdays, I'm working Sundays. I try to take a Monday off. So I understand that we live in a crazy, crazy environment and world. But at the very least, call that person saying, hey, I'm in the midst of an event, or I'm about to head into a 3-day of events, and I'll touch base with you on Wednesday at this time if that works. So at least get back to them, okay? Four Seasons, when I worked for Four Seasons, you have to call people back within 24 hours. Four Seasons taught me a lot. You know, you can't keep people on hold for more than 30 seconds. If you keep them on hold for 30 seconds, you have to offer to call them back, and you have to call them back within 2 minutes. These are standards. And this is possible. This is why people pay $600, $700, $800, $900 a night to stay at the Four Seasons. And it's doable. At Four Seasons, when I squeeze a lemon, when I order an iced tea, and I squeeze my lemon, no seed comes out. You know why? Because I was cutting those things to get those seeds out. That's what you do. I go to Chili's, and you bet $50, I get 4 lemon things on there. Why? Right? That's the difference. What caliber are you? What do you want to do? Always under promise and over deliver. Hey, you know, I'm so busy. I'm going to write you a proposal. I'll give it to you by Monday. Give it to them on Friday. Give yourself some time. They'll be impressed. Because the opposite, which happened to me recently, I was waiting for a proposal. 4 days later, I'm like, hey, by the way, I haven't gotten it. I didn't hire her. Okay. This is interesting. People don't buy on price alone. Do you guys feel that you do? That they do?
I don't know.
Not at all.
No.
Right?
Nope.
Because if people bought only on price, we wouldn't have the beautiful cars that are out there that people own. We wouldn't have people buying the Apple computer, Apple Watch. Everyone would be wearing a Casio, right? So it's not all about price. That's my show. My contact information is on here, FeliciEvents.com. You can follow me on Twitter, ZoheFelici.com. Felici Events, I'm on Instagram, and Facebook, and you can call me.
Holla.
Holler. I'm a phone person. I'm not so much an emailer, and I like to be face-to-face and talk to people. So feel free to call me anytime. And again, collaborating, that's huge for me. So anyone in here that feels the need to want to collaborate on an event, on a project, I collaborate with someone and we do a Halloween party every year. I love doing that kind of stuff, so reach out to me. Yeah. Any questions? Thoughts?
So what do you do with those clients that are just not the right fit?
I fire them. I say, you know what? Let me give you a
That's
couple
love
names.
to fire somebody.
That is so empowering, and it was very scary to get to that point, but you know, there's someone for everyone. Hey, I have a couple names of some gals. Let me see if they're available. I'll even go to the extent of making sure they're available so that I'm not just passing them on to anyone. I still hand hold it all the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I have
Still
certain ones
providing
that I always send them to. It's like, let me help you out with this. That might be able to, to help you with what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And then they do the same things back and forth, with me, so it works.
Yeah, absolutely. I had an inquiry recently. I could have used the money. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love the project was interesting. It was a Bacara. There was a lot of lucrative things about it that I wanted, but I just couldn't write the contract. I was dragging my feet about writing the contract. I remember talking to my mom. I'm like, there's just something about this person that I'm not enthusiastic about. She's like, don't do it. What are you gonna buy? I'm like, you know what? You're right. Called someone else. Hey, are you available? Yeah.
And,
working together.
and what, without getting too specific, kind of what was not feeling right? What about them?
Just some of their questions towards me. She was very untrusting. I mean, that's really what it came down to. She wasn't trusting. Her older sister had a wedding, the planner sucked, and she's like, well, I don't feel comfortable paying you 2 weeks in advance. It's like, well, that's the way the world works here. So you think, and she's like, well, what's the guarantee that you're gonna show up? I'm like, my reputation. Do you think Bacara would take me back if Are you kidding me? So if there's no trust for me, that makes the job very, very difficult. Because ultimately, they're looking for my counsel, and you know, it's like listening to your parents where you don't want to. Remember those days? And then all of a sudden, you hurtle over that fence, you're like, oh my God, my
All of a
parents are
sudden they're-
geniuses.
Yeah,
What
they're the
happened?
smartest people on the planet, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for that day. So what about your social media? Now I can ask your intern over here who's trying to hide. How has all of that come together for you in terms of what it's done for the business and?
Mostly I run the Instagram. Also, we have a Hootsuite, which runs like Facebook, LinkedIn, and you can link them all together, and you can add them and manage all three of those websites or any social media sites on that own, like one website. And there's also other things like other websites that you can do that with also, and you can schedule like Facebook posts and things like that also, so that I run.
So
And then,
do you track whatever progress or benefits that has to her business?
I have been tracking, like, we're trying to get more followers on Instagram, trying to get her name more out there and make people follow her. So I tracked it, and when I started in January, we had like 394, and we're actually at like 650 now. So.
Yeah, I want to be at 700, so everyone in here on Instagram, follow me now. But it's
Follow us on
interesting that you asked
Insta.
that. So when I get an inquiry, especially, again, the millennial client, this is a whole other topic of conversation, but the millennial client, I had 2 inquiries this year, and both of them were following me on Instagram. So by the time I got the inquiry, I looked them up, and they were already following me. So, that's
a little scary to me, I'm sorry.
Oh, don't worry. My life is so complicated. I have 2 phones with 2 different Instagram accounts.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Okay.
because
And
Wow,
so how do you
the
track
secret
personal?
one must be really good.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Especially with people like my age, Instagram is big. Like, I creeped hard on Zoe before I started my intern with her. The other place that I was trying
my
to
gosh,
intern
you
with,
Oh.
I creeped hard on them too. Like, I looked at their
Cyber stalk, you
Instagram.
got
Whatever.
Yeah, I
it.
cyber stalked
Everybody did.
the heck
So
out
how
of
does
them.
that
Absolutely,
translate
yeah.
to business?
LinkedIn,
How does that
all that
translate
stuff.
to, I mean, have you been able to track how that translates to leads
I mean,
and
I.
business and
Yeah.
all that?
again, if they're following you and they're looking at your stuff, you're converting them. It's easier to convert them. They're already interested in you. They've gone through the link to look at your work and see what you're doing. So that's kind of counts back.
Yeah. The reason why I chose Zoe was because it was my style, more of who I am, that kind of aspect
Right.
and stuff like that. And I wanted to be a barber. That's why I chose. Because I was like, LA, Santa Barbara, it's like Santa Barbara, it's more my style.
Oh,
So
yeah. Got it. Wow, that's very cool.
People want to.
No, actually, I got it on
Okay.
Instagram.
All right, so does anybody else have any questions for Zoe? Really quick.
I have a
I mean-
comment.
Yeah.
You mentioned
What you do,
multiple
it's very
times,
visual,
make
so
sure all of your information is on your emails out there. And it's funny because I'm now thinking about this, in the last 2 days, I have gotten 3 emails from event planners that want to book me, and they sent it through their phone or their iPad, because it says iPad or phone. They don't put their name on it, they just assume I'm gonna know who these people are by, there's nothing, it just says, oh, I need this, and this, and it says sent by iPhone or sent by whatever it is. There's no phone, there's no name, I don't even know who the person is.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm gonna be a little snot, I'm gonna send back, and I'm saying, I'm sorry, who are you? You really should put your name at the bottom.
So, you know, and it happens, I get inquiries that way a lot. It kind of sucks when people email me and they're like, I'm getting married, what's your packages? Dude, I want to talk to you. There's more to it than that, right? And there's no contact information, no phone number, no way for me other than email. So treat it as one of those because it is a potential piece of business. But your key is, what's that hook? What are you going to do for them? Right?
But and I understand that being the mom or the whoever, but another professional, another event planner, and of course everyone's saying that's not how they are responding constantly on their phones. But so if you're a professional, at least put a name to these things that you're sending out.
Yeah. Sadly, I'm very techie, but I'm very particular about when I talk to people on the phone or when I'm emailing people because I don't want to make a silly mistake and maybe hit reply all. I did that one time and went back to the client. Oh my God. But, you know, I find that that's kind of becoming sloppy. You can't, the only effect you can have is what you do, not what other people are doing to you. So I tell people all the time. I had a photographer and I'm inquiring for a client and she sent me her packages and I said, hey girl, I think you should put your contact info. A, you should raise your prices, and B, put your contact information on here. Like, oh, I never thought of that. So people don't think of it. We're so in a rush. What's the next thing? What's the next best thing? So, yeah. Good?
Cool.
Yeah?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you
Yay.
so much.